Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 197 of At Odds with Wrestling. Joe and Adam here. Adam, hello. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Joe. Originally, I was going to open this podcast with like an official apology, but in my research, I noticed that Champion Cream Ale doesn't list on the can the alcohol content. So realistically, I feel like they're liable for last week's episode, and I'm completely off the hook.
So I think we might have hyped it up a little bit too much because, I can't speak for you of how drunk you were, but you know, I was probably more drunk on Long Box Heroes this week than I was on At Odds last week.
Oh, see, I listened to Long Box Heroes and I didn't know that you were drinking, so I think you hide it better than I do. I feel like I sounded like Heath Slater on an episode of Major Pod.
You know? I didn't have you say Johnny Gargano's name. That's the test.
Yeah, Tommaso Ciampa. But, and I was going to open up the show by cracking like a soda can, but that would require me to go and buy a soda can. So nothing this week as far as that goes.
I just have I have a water. I have my giant World Wrestling Entertainment 80s glass of water that I drink out of all the time.
Yeah, just a water show. Just a boring old water show for me, too.
Yeah. You know, hopefully I won't have to expertly edit out you going to the boys' room when I play one of the jingles.
Yeah, they're like built-in bathroom breaks. I love them. Mm-hmm. At least I mute the microphone, unlike Dan Champion.
You know, I talked to Dan at Reel Rumble about that this past weekend, and he seemingly forgot about that.
Well, we better make sure he never forgets. You know, just bring it up every single time.
So, hey, Real Rumble was this past weekend. I don't know if and when they're going to go up on Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium, but I assume that they are at some point. I don't know.
I would hope so. I mean, Smart Mark Gary was there filming it, you know, and we got the Bash of the Brewery was up. You know, I mean, obviously it streamed instantly, but it was there on demand right after. I feel like they should all be up on Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium.
Yeah. So this, the shows were good. Of course, I'm biased, right?
Yeah.
And, I always have critiques of everything because nothing in wrestling is perfect. I don't live in some sort of fantasy world where what we watch or what we partake in on the indies is TV wrestling. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
TV wrestling is a different level just from the production standpoint and so forth. The indies are a little bit more raw, a little bit more rough around the edges, a little bit more something, right?
Yeah.
So I obviously I called the second night with Mantis, so he and I were able to kind of commiserate in between matches about like yays and nays and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a few people reach out to me for my opinion on stuff, and of course that's always much appreciated, you know, like that people care what I think about the show or their performance or what have you. But obviously Mantis says the same thing, and then Chris from LVAC say the same thing of like, no, we can't do X. Because if we do X, then we're a real promotion. And I don't want to be a real promotion. And it's funny because I'll say those when I'm speaking to Chris, and he'll say that. And I'll say that to Mantis, and he'll say that to me. And then when I see them in person, I'll be like, oh, yeah, Mantis said the same thing about that. And it's like, oh, he's full of it. You know, he wants this to be a real promotion. He's dragging his feet. And I say it to Mantis, and Chris is like, oh, Chris is full of it. He's dragging his feet. He wants this to be a real promotion.
Yeah. I mean, both of them want, they realize that if they just lift the anchors off of this, it's just going to become, it's going to be one of the big three. It'll knock TNA out of the rankings.
OVW, because OVW has TV.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as, Real Rumble goes, I enjoyed both days. I always like LVAC shows. I feel like something was off about night one, and I blame the crowd. Like, the crowd was on Dramamine. No matter what happened in the ring, it was just, you can hear the crickets from like the field. So I blame them. It was very hard to get a reaction out of the crowd. Even like at the very end, the big angle that closed the show, spoiler, Avery Good being unceremoniously fired by Sydney Bacabella. Like even that just kind of got like a oh no from the crowd, and like, so screw them, get off your hands and start reacting to stuff. But night 2 was the exact opposite. Obviously there was more people there on night 2.
Yes.
But that's no excuse for the people that were there on night 1. I mean, like, react to stuff, But night 2 is completely different. Pretty much everything got a positive reaction in the ring. But like, I really enjoyed it, and obviously give all the money to Gummy Boar.
Yes. And hang on, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this here. Because as I understand that these hashtags work. Hashtag who is going to book Gummy Boar versus the production, or are you all cowards who hate money? That being said, yes, night 1 was a little bit of a smaller crowd than night 2. On night 2, I saw a lot more familiar faces that weren't there on night 1. Mm-hmm. And, obviously they, LVAC does cater to a more casual audience. And by catering to a casual audience, you're going to get more casual reactions, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but I don't feel like night 2 had more diehard wrestling fans there. It was just more of the same LVAC audience, Yeah,
but, and I'll say this, obviously sometimes, even though the tickets aren't like crazy priced, sometimes it's just tougher to get out a Friday and a Saturday, and you got to make your choice. You got to go, am I going to go Friday? Am I going to go Saturday?
Yeah. No, I get it.
Summertime's happening. My next 3 weekends are booked up, so it's not like I'm getting tons of bookings of people coming knocking down my door,
Mm-hmm. And just one other quick thing before, like, the new names that debuted for LVAC, like Channing Thomas, I think he did a really good job. South Philly Finest was really funny with their crowd work, and just, obviously at an indie show, you can hear what the wrestlers are saying, when they talk to the crowd from the ring. That was great. And I'm not sure if it was his first time there, but maybe my first time remembering, but Delirious is getting the chanting from the crowd by like kind of grunting into the mic was can't miss as well,
Yeah, so that definitely was Delirious's first time there. He was supposed to be on the one that got canceled from December, I think.
Okay. Yes, I remember seeing his name. I just don't remember him.
Yeah, but Delirious actually hasn't taken a lot of like wrestling bookings in a while because he's, prior to being purchased, he was the head booker of Ring of Honor for like the last, I don't know, like 8 to 10 years maybe.
Yeah.
So he would wrestle sporadically, but he kept in great shape. He added a couple new wrinkles, and obviously a lot of people probably haven't seen the old wrinkles in some time, so it was all new to them,
Yeah.
South Philly's Finest, though, the one guy, right? He needs to straighten out his social media.
Okay.
And that, I mean, he had told us, and it was on the sheet, that his name was Luca Brasi. Luca Brasi from the Godfather movies,
Uh-huh.
But then on his social media, his name is Bobby Knuckles.
Sounds like the same thing.
Okay. And then his partner, the whole time I'm looking at him, I'm like, who does he remind me of? He reminds me of someone, and he looked like a giant MLJ of GCW. So that was a little distracting.
Understandable. But I mean, like I said, overall good time. I enjoy these. I'm glad they're only once a year. I don't like driving to Mahoning twice in 2 days, but
Mahoning's an easy drive. It's like 50 minutes. Come on.
Well, if I don't like that, I'm not going to like our plans for next month, am I?
No, right. So the word is out. It was announced on the AIW podcast this past week. The card is going to change. As John Thorne and Steve Guy were laying out what the plans are going to be for the July 30th Bill Alfonso Hardcore Invitational Tournament. They're doing like a whole day of wrestling stuff, and it's going to be a whole day of wrestling podcasts, live wrestling podcasts. So John and Steve are going to do their show. Justin Summers is going to do Wrestling Cheers. The Pod Van Dam boys are going to do Pod Van Dam, and we're going to do a live podcast from there, right?
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So not only are we going to do that, it's my first time getting out to an AIW show in like well over 4 years.
Yeah. And I think it's only right. It's apropos that the Bill Alfonso Hardcore Invitational would invite an ECW House of Hardcore attendee to do a live podcast.
I have ideas of what we could do for the live podcast. And again, I'm in a conundrum, right? As someone who listens to many podcasts, lots and lots of podcasts, I hate the live episodes of podcasts. Because like the crowd's never mic'd properly. There's always like whatever. It just doesn't feel right. So I'm just going to take one of the scripts for one of the first live Broski and Hawkins podcasts, and I'm just going to recreate that line for line.
That works for me. Yeah, I definitely think that a regular show is not going to work there, but we'll have a long car ride to hammer it out,
Yeah, and I'm working on maybe getting another person or two in the car ride with us.
Ooh,
mm-hmm.
Interesting.
We're working on it. That was that wheeling and dealing tweet from the other day,
Yeah. Well, I the only thing better than splitting gas 2 ways is splitting it 3 or 4 ways.
For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be exciting to go out there to see the Cleveland crew. I don't even know how far of a drive Ashtabula is from where we are,
I have no clue. I mean, I know how far like Cleveland proper is, but the rest of those weird Ohio towns, I don't know. They're all drop them off the map. I don't care.
That's like a month and a half from now's thing to worry about,
Exactly. Yeah. I won't start worrying about that until the day before.
Oh, okay. Good.
Maybe 2 days before when we have to figure out like, where are we going to meet, what time, all that stuff. I'll drive, Joe.
I could see like maybe like a week or so beforehand is when I'm going to really start sweating, because it's going to be like my first, like over the road, like out of state trip in quite a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, last year I went to AIW in Ohio, and that wasn't a bad drive, so it's mostly a straight shot. I can't speak for what's going to happen once we hit Ohio. I'm sure a lot of the people that listen to this that are from there are telling us, they're yelling at their podcast radio that like we're getting it completely wrong, and it's like not anywhere close to where I think it is, but we'll figure it out.
Well, I'll say this. Looking at my MapQuest thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Did you print it out already? Is that what I hear?
No, not yet.
Printer going?
It's actually a little bit closer than Cleveland. It claims that it's about 5 hours and 17 minutes from my house.
Okay. I mean, that's not bad.
Because usually, so first of all, if I was to leave straight from my house to Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and I don't even know where that is in regards to the Odeon, that was usually like right around like 6 hours, like plus or minus like 5 minutes, 6 hours, right? But that was never what my trip was. My trip was going across the bridge to the Enterprise Rent-A-Car, driving 2 hours south to Philly, then driving another 2 hours, another hour east to pick somebody else up, and then to drive the trip to Ohio.
Yeah.
So even if you come and meet me here at the park and ride, and we leave from here, I could do this 5 hours and change standing on my head.
I was going to say, if we have to go in for those potential third or fourth, if I have to do one of those things where we go pick them up at their house, you're going to have a massive expense report filed to the soon-to-be-named network coming from
All right.
I hope we pay mileage.
No, we don't.
Oh.
But we'll figure it out. I'm not worried. I got,
Yeah.
I got a plan for the show. I got a plan for everything.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. Let's do it.
I got a plan for this show, though. Again, this is like 6 weeks away, 7 weeks away. Let's talk about the here and now, which is talking about the past.
And now, At Odds with Wrestling presents This Day in Wrestling History.
All right, so this day in wrestling history, 1991, was the Herb Abrams UWF Beach Brawl pay-per-view. I'm almost certain we did this for show homework before.
No, I don't. I mean, the only UWF show we did was like the first one, the one with the famous Jake Roberts promo.
No, you're thinking of Heroes of Wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, maybe we did. What's the card? Remind me.
So we have the Blackhearts versus Firecat and Jim Cooper. We have Terry Gordy versus Johnny Ace. We have the Killer Bees, who were called Mask Confusion and Masked Confusion against the Power Twins.
Yep. That I remember.
Okay, see, I'm almost 100% sure, and again, I don't keep track of any of the shit we do on the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I have to go back through the homework here, maybe I could figure it out. Oh no, that was Tim and Marcus being on.
We need to have a spin-off podcast where somebody does like a clip show for us.
No.
Like At Odds Rewind. We're not going to pay them.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. It's like an internship. You'll never find
see, it trips us up because there was the Dark Side of the Ring, that there was discussion of the UWF, you know?
Yeah.
But the rest of the card is we're running down Rockin' Robin versus Candy Divine, Paul Orndorff versus Colonel De Beers, Bob Backlund versus Ivan Koloff, Steve Ray and Sonny Beach versus Cowboy Bob Orton, Cactus Jack, and Dr. Death Steve Williams versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah. Now, as you go on through that, I remember it.
Right. So, like I said, we definitely did. I'm almost 100% sure that we watched it for the show.
Okay. Did I assign it or did you assign that?
I probably assigned that one.
Okay, because it seems like something if I had Googled like worst pay-per-views ever, that might have came up.
Yeah, that might have been you then, you know?
Yeah. All right. I have a formula, and that's all it is.
All right, so also on this day in wrestling history, in 1995, Tay Conte was born.
And what a glorious day it was, Joe. That's why I've been petitioning for over a year now for June 9th to become a national holiday. We'll see where that goes, but happy birthday to the face of women's wrestling.
The face?
The face.
I miss on-screen relationship with Sammy Guevara, Tay Conti.
Oh, absolutely. Like, first of all, like, I mean, she never wrestles anymore. She used to just come out and wreck people.
Yeah.
You know? She would hang out with Anna Jay and Negative One. It was feel-good television. And now it's just like, you know? And for me, it's not like I'm one of those people that's like, oh, boo, Sammy, this stinks. I just don't care. And I think that's even worse than, like, having heel heat. And that's what they have right now.
Right. Don't care
birthday,
heat is worse than go away heat or whatever they called X-Pac heat or yeah.
But I know Tay listens every once in a while, but happy birthday.
Again, very rarely do I throw birthdays in there unless it's someone exceptional, you know?
Yeah, and that definitely meets the criteria.
Yeah. So also on this day in wrestling history is the head-to-head 1997 Raw versus Nitro. The events were held relatively close to each other. Nitro was in Boston. WWE was in Hartford, Connecticut. Nitro was, the usual NWO beatdown. Sting repels from the rafters, saves DDP, whatever. But on this episode of Nitro, Double J beat Dean Malenko for the U.S. title.
Okay. I don't remember Double J being the U.S. champion, but my memory is very foggy.
You probably don't remember him as being a horseman either, but that's a lot of people.
I remember him being an NWO 2000,
right?
The black and silver.
That's correct.
Yeah, they need to make a fig of that, or at least a Major Bendy.
Now over on Raw, on the other hand, get a little bit more. So a little bit more coherent of a show as best as they possibly can. It's the night after King of the Ring, after Triple H won King of the Ring.
Okay.
Triple H comes out and cuts a promo. And this is essentially like him no longer being the blue blood and kind of starting to become like DX Triple H.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Because he like drops the accent. He still has like the theme for like another 6 months, but he cuts a promo saying like how he's not going to let politics and wrestling hold him down anymore and blah, 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 bunch of horse shit like that. Him and Mankind have a brawl. There's also a RVD versus Flash Funk match where Tommy Dreamer and Paul E jump the rail. Paul E to attack Jerry Lawler and Dreamer to attack RVD, who is Mr. Monday Night, of course.
Mm-hmm.
This is also part 3 of the JR sit down with Mankind, where the previous ones were kind of like, it's kind of like he's a babyface, and then at the end of this one, he attacks JR and lays him out, and then like he's still just a babyface, and they're just like, all right, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago, like the big misstep there.
Right. Now, this is obviously, so we have to go back like a couple weeks. If you remember from 2 weeks ago when we were talking about this, they had set things up. Okay. So before I even get to that, so there's a match on here of Ahmed and the LOD taking on Farouk, Savio, and Crush. The Nation lose. And Farouk says next week there's going to be a change in the Nation of Domination, right?
Okay.
We get new members of the Nation of Domination next week. Cuts promo, says we're going to do it next week. So we got that to talk about for next week. So 2 weeks ago, they had set up that at the pay-per-view, King of the Ring, it was supposed to be Brett versus Shawn with all the members of the Hart Foundation handcuffed around ringside.
Okay.
And if Brett lost, he couldn't wrestle in the United States any longer. Brett is too hurt, so the match gets scrapped, and it ends up being Brett versus Shawn, it ends up being Stone Cold versus Shawn Michaels, who are tag team partners at the time. They have a match with each other. What was originally advertised for Stone Cold was supposed to be Stone Cold versus Brian Pillman singles match at King of the Ring. He moves into the match with Shawn. That match gets scrapped, so they're going to do Stone Cold versus Pillman on Raw tonight until Austin attacks Pillman backstage, beats him up in the bathroom, and flushes his head in the toilet. So as Austin comes out, the rest of the Hart Foundation beat up Austin. So now Pillman doesn't have an opponent. Mankind comes out, has the match with Pillman. The Hart Foundation come out and beat up Mankind. Ken Shamrock comes out to make the save. Austin comes out to make the save, runs off the Hart Foundation, and stuns both Mankind and Ken Shamrock.
That sounds like exactly what I would expect from a Vince Russo show.
Right. So as you can tell, me explaining this to you is very chaotic, but that's like Raw is now finally starting to become what it would be. This, though, is setting up 2 storylines. One is the 5-on-5 versus the Hart Foundation of the Canadian Stampede in your house in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And also setting up something bigger, maybe with Mankind.
And the only thing I remember about this is that I definitely remember being pissed off that we didn't get Pillman versus Austin.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember if they ever actually had the match, but I remember this little, shuffle kind of depriving me of that match,
Right, and we never do get that match.
Yeah. And at the time, I didn't realize how diminished Pillman would have been, but in my mind, I was like, oh, the Hollywood blondes collide.
And it's crazy. I think, as we look at this, he's maybe dead in 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, Raw. Like I was definitely more of a Raw person at the time, and Nitro definitely feels like it's a lot of the same old, same old. Every once in a while, you'll get something like Double J winning the U.S. title, but everything is like there's an NWO beatdown. Sting comes and makes the save. It's like how every episode ends.
I think I was NWO pilled at this time, and it took like maybe like The Rock or DX to get me to go back to WWE's side. As formulaic as Nitro was, I think I was hooked, with the NWO. Yeah,
we're about 2 months away from DX, and about 2 months away from The Rock's heel turn. But like I said, we'll be talking about it here, every week, because we line up with those,
Yeah. Yeah. Like
and sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'm looking at like this Nitro and being like, yeah, this probably would have been my preferred show at the time,
Wanted to see that Conan versus Steve McMichaels match.
Exactly. I want to see Lex Luger versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He didn't talk about that. That's a marquee match in any country.
It actually is. It is actually a pretty stacked Nitro here,
Yeah.
But last but not least, this day in wrestling history, 1 year ago today, both Adam and I pre-ordered the Zombie Sailor Toys Heels and Faces Series 1 Hawkins and Broski action figures. And today, they're sitting in a shipping crate on a dock in New York.
Allegedly.
The plan is that they're going to be out of that shipping crate within the next month and would be shipping sometime after that.
Any day now, Joe. Any day now. Just whatever you do, do not question Zombie Sailor because he'll cancel your orders because he's an asshole.
Oh, really? Is that what he's doing to people?
Yeah, there was people in the major group that even just kind of took little shots. And then I guess it was alleged that he looked up that person's name in his order database and then canceled their order and was like, oh yeah, you don't want to wait? Here, I canceled your order.
Wow, that's shitty.
He does not take criticism at all.
Seems to fit in with that crew.
I kind of wanted to jump in there because my order is associated with your name and they never find it.
Yeah, you got carte blanche to go and cock off in there,
I'm on thin ice as it is. I've been on my best behavior lately. Nothing but positivity.
No coup attempts?
No, not right now. No. Although now would be the right time because Broski's vulnerable. He's not at full strength.
Yeah. Get well soon, Broski, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, so it is now June 9th. What do you think is the realistic date that you will have your Kurt Hawkins figure in your hand and I'll have the Broski and Hawkins? If you had a guess, I'm going to say not even in August. I'm going to say September.
I'm going to say August. I'm going to say whenever, aren't they doing a live something the weekend, to coincide with wherever SummerSlam is this year?
No clue. That I don't know. I don't really follow the live shows that much.
I'm going to assume that they're doing a live show to coincide with SummerSlam weekend. So I'm going to say that the figures are going to be shipping that week. Whatever week do I have? I do. SummerSlam. Oh, so SummerSlam's actually early this year. SummerSlam is the end of July. That's right, because SummerSlam is they're doing it in conjunction with the Conrad Wants to Kill His Father-in-Law show. Okay, so I'll say that they're going to ship by the last week of July because they need to coincide with that show so Hawkins and Broski could have them in hand going around that weekend.
You know what? I say there's no chance that it's good. I mean, I can concede sometime in August, maybe September is just me being pessimistic.
Yeah.
But in hand, or at least in their hands by July 30th, not going to happen. Unless it's one of those things where it's like, oh, everybody's orders are in a dock somewhere, but we flew in, a case or two of samples for them to sell for $400 a piece on Whatnot or something like that. There's mass produced ones. There's no chance. I'm willing to bet a Canadian nickel that we will not have them by SummerSlam.
Yeah, I say it's going to be that weekend. Okay, so are we going to have them? Are you and I going to have them the weekend of SummerSlam? No. Are Hawkins and Broski going to have them? Yes.
Okay, I mean, that's a different story because, like I said, they tend to get a couple cases early of stuff.
Well, allegedly all of them are there, right? But what I think is going to happen is Zombie's going to get them in, get whatever Brian and Kurt have, and just get those and hand deliver them to them at that weekend. And then everybody else is going to ship out when he gets back from that weekend.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Just the dog and pony show of being like, oh, and here's your zombie sailor figures, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Any day now, Joe. Any day.
Any day.
Yeah.
All right. So that's enough about past stuff and future stuff of us not getting those figures anytime in the next month or two. Hey, what do you want to talk about from the last 7 days in wrestling?
All right. I'm going to start things off, as I often do, with AEW talk. And I was actually watching, not quite live, but like live-ish. So, didn't have anything spoiled for me on Twitter. And I'm watching them throw back to the commentary table. And I believe it was Tony Schiavone who was making an announcement that there was a new title coming to AEW. And I got really excited. And then they started showing a video clip. And they showed like Chris Jericho and Miro. And I was like, wait a minute, these guys aren't trios. None of these people are trios. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And then they unveiled the AEW All-Atlantic title, which I know that everybody has been clamoring for an All-Atlantic title, basically the WWE European title. But this company obviously has been built over the last year or so for a trios title. We talk about it all the time that like, hey, when Kenny Omega comes back, him and the Bucks are going to be a trio. You have the Undisputed Elite. You have the Best Friends. You have all the Death Triangle, for Christ's sakes. All these trios that are just chomping at the bit for a belt, and they give us the All-Atlantic title. So a little disappointed in that. And then you have the tournament. You have a top guy, like one of the best wrestlers in the world, Buddy Matthews, jobbing out to Pac, which was a little bit, disheartening for me. And then you look at the bracket and they're going to go ahead and feed Ethan Page to Miro. I don't like that. There's no way they're going to let Ethan Page win this match. I mean, if anything, just give him a figure on the spot as a consolation. But looking at that tournament, I'm just not looking forward to this. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, oh, everybody gets a belt. I was just kind of hoping that they would be a trios title, so I felt let down. But that's it for me.
I'm not as upset over the All-Atlantic title as everyone else does. I long for the days of Jim Crockett Promotions, NWA, WCW, where you have the world title, the US title, the TV title, and then like all the other titles that had come in from other places, like the Mid-Atlantic title, or the Western States Heritage title, or the light heavyweight title, or the this title, or the that title. And then when you actually do a Battle of the Belts, it's okay. Now, this all being said, and obviously we have the interim title, which I think we're going to end up talking about as well. I could transition easily into that. I think because everyone wants those trios titles, and we have been told numerous times that we're not getting the trios titles until Kenny is back. And Kenny's not back yet. So, again, that they've told us. They're like, trios titles are happening, we just got to wait, because it's going to be Kenny's thing that he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could see you do a gimmick where you've got you got the world title, you got the interim title, you got the TNT title. Now you've got the All-Atlantic title. Hell, let's throw one more on, right? And then you have somebody at some point, I'm not saying 6 months from now, I'm not saying a year from now, but somebody at some point is like, fuck it, I'm going to get all the belts. And then you have one guy who gets to do the Ultimo Dragon picture because there's all these titles in AEW.
The what picture, Joe? The what picture?
The Ultimo Dragon picture. The only person who's held several titles at one time that anyone gives a damn about.
I don't appreciate that, but go ahead.
You mean the Broski one that he ripped off from Ultimo Dragon?
I've heard it both ways. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, and again, I don't mind. I would trade any of these titles for a second women's match on TV every Wednesday. But listen, beggars can't be choosers, okay?
I saw, and I wish I had paid attention to who tweeted it out, but like they had tweeted that the men had a battle royal that basically used up a huge chunk of the roster, and they still couldn't manage to squeeze a second women's match on that show.
Yeah. And then again, of course, we mentioned the interim title. CM Punk is injured. He's still going to be champion. And they have made jokes, and I say they and Taz and Excalibur have made jokes that on AEW Dark, that because Chris Jericho doesn't come to the production meetings, they have to re-edit commentary to clean up his mistakes. So Punk cuts this impassioned promo. He says that, Tony told me he can't give up the title. He's still going to be champion. And, when he gets better, he's going to come back. The wheels haven't fallen off. It's just one of them is broken and needs some time to get fixed. And then Punk finishes the promo. They're playing the music. And he goes up to the camera to say whatever. And Jericho goes, CM Punk just relinquished the title. Even though he didn't do that, right?
Yeah.
So that adds confusion to everything that's going on here, right?
Yeah, because without that, it was such a very streamlined, easy to follow plan.
Well, so listen, I'm not I know people are gonna allege that I'm a big CM Punk fan these days. He's got a year pass, and he's been doing all right. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. That year pass is gonna end up being a year forgetfulness, right? So again, he comes out, he's limping a little bit. I'm watching it, and then they do a close-up of him, and I'm like, oh man, that's like a guy who's been crying all day, and like, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
And it was a very emotional moment, and I'm not making excuses for him, so I could see him flubbing things a bit, right? Shit happens. But then they get to the bit with the interim title of how they're deciding this, and then people are like, well, why is Jon Moxley? Wardlow has more titles. So now Tony has to jump through hoops to explain, well, while Wardlow and Jon Moxley have the same number of singles victories, Jon Moxley's are over a higher caliber of opponent. Then people are like, bullshit. Then Wardlow has to come out on TV and say, I don't want to win or be the interim champion. I'm just going to keep beating fools so that when CM Punk comes back, I can beat him. And I'm like, okay. They're really trying, when things kind of get fucked up, they're trying to make sense of it, okay?
Yeah.
Granted, if Chris Jericho just came to the production meetings and CM Punk wasn't crying all day in an emotional wreck cutting his promo, maybe we wouldn't have to jump through all these hoops to kind of make chicken salad out of chicken shit, but here we are, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable with Jericho because he's probably spending a ton of time in the gym at that time and like styling his totally real hair.
Oh boy.
It is funny that like all of the top guys in wrestling are all of a sudden hurt. Roman's been dinged up for a while. We have CM Punk with the broken foot. We have Cody with the torn up pec. You have Broski with the torn bicep. Like literally all the top guys in wrestling are hurt.
Yep. The top guys.
But Joe, you mentioned, AEW kind of scrambling to try to make sense of things that didn't make sense. I'm going to pivot over to the exact opposite of that. And I didn't watch the WWE pay-per-view this past week because I said I wasn't going to. But, I'm on social media and I see, kind of what happened. And I saw the stuff with Cody and I saw what's the stuff with, the House of Black from Wish and all that stuff. And I don't watch Raw, but I see the social media stuff and I see Finn Balor kind of like beating on Edge. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care. But like Rhea Ripley standing and watching, I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. I gotta turn on the DVR recording of Raw and see what happened here. But Joe, I don't know if this was on your radar, but Finn Balor joined Judgment Day and then all the members of Judgment Day turned on Edge. the guy who had won the night before in their pay-per-view match. And basically they had decided, hey, we're no longer aligned with this top guy. We're going to join somebody that's been presented as a mid-carder on the main roster. And I love Finn Balor as much as the next guy, like probably more so, but the main roster, they treat him like a joke. He's just there to maybe contend for the Intercontinental title, but it made no sense, that turn. And the only thing I can think of is that like Edge's merch numbers are down as a heel, and he's like, "Whoa, we gotta go back over to me being a face because I want to sell some T-shirts." But that didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Okay, the boys talked about this on Pod Van Dam, and I will agree with you. It makes no sense. Even I watched this, and Damian Priest's promo is like, "Edge, you taught us." This, that, and you also taught us that we have to eliminate any weaknesses in our life.
Yeah.
And and they said that weakness in their life is you. And then they turn on Edge and they beat up Edge, right?
Mm.
So if you believe the dirt sheets, and I'll be honest with you, I'll take a lot of dirt sheet talk with a grain of salt, except when it kind of sort of makes sense or is absolutely hilarious. So some people are reporting that they did this because they wanted the Judgment Day to get spookier, and Edge was against it. Finn Balor, who already has a demon persona, was slotted in to take Edge's place in the new spookier Judgment Day.
It's a shame that the WWE didn't have access to a very spooky and very over and huge merchandise pushing guy, that they went and released a year ago or however many months ago.
Now, there's been rumors since Sunday that they're bringing The Fiend back, that they're going to rehire Bray Wyatt and bring him back, right?
Yeah, I saw that, but who knows?
Right. Now, the other thing that people said is, with Cody being hurt, and again, so Cody comes out, he's got the purple tit. He's a maniac for going out there and wrestling the match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what sort of medical protocols they have in Illinois. I don't know how a doctor stopped Cody from going out there in the condition that he was in. He could barely move his right arm. And I place no blame on a doctor, on World Wrestling Entertainment, or even on Cody himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all maniacs. This is the behavior of crazy people, okay?
Yeah.
But Cody is claiming that he's going to be back for Money in the Bank. Everyone else is saying that Cody's going to be out for 6 months. So with Cody being out at least for the foreseeable future, they don't have like a tippy-top baby face for the house shows. So that's why they turned to Edge.
WWE does house shows still?
Live events. They do live events, TV, and premium live events.
Okay, I honestly, that wasn't me being sarcastic. I just didn't know they were going back to live events.
They just rehired Double J back to be in charge of live events.
Oh, okay.
Come on!
I didn't know that. When are we going to the CYC for the next house show?
Well, World Wrestling Entertainment's banned from the CYC because Mick Foley cut a promo saying that he didn't want to suck it.
I thought it was ECW that got them banned from, or got
no. So that's the crazy thing is that ECW ran there in '97. The last WWF show that was there was August of '99. No, '98. August of '98. It was like the week before SummerSlam. With Austin and Taker as the main event, and that was the last show. That's what got them kicked out.
Okay, I did not attend that show.
Yeah, I was at that one. I was there. We actually were at the King of Prussia Mall earlier the day for a meet and greet with a young up and coming World Wrestling Entertainment superstar, The Rock.
Oh.
So we drove to King of Prussia, did the Rock meet and greet photo op, and then drove back to the CYC for the show.
Where is this Mark photo with you and The Rock?
So I don't know where mine is, but I have like my brother's somewhere around here.
Okay. Somewhere there's a picture of me, like a very young Zubaz pants wearing Adam with the British Bulldog, and it's been my mission to find that picture. I've been digging through boxes of photos. I can't find it.
I think any Mark pictures I have of anyone from those days, I've posted online.
Yeah.
So
right.
I guess, I mentioned a little bit, Cody's nuts. Whether he's out for a month or whether he's out for 6 months, it sucks, man. It sucks to see any of these guys injured. Obviously Cody really wants it. He's pushing himself real hard to get this, but you mentioned before, it's like a lot of the big name guys in wrestling are just hurt right now, and it's putting a kibosh on a lot of people's plans, whether it's the Indies with Broski, whether it be WWE with Cody and Roman Reigns, and AEW with Punk and Scorpio Sky. You didn't even mention that. Scorpio Sky is like a torn groin, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you go back and watch his match with Frankie from Rampage last week, you could see him limping and like all whatever. And then he put out on social media, like literally within seconds of the match, he felt something tear, but he's like, it's in my hometown. It's live. I'm going to finish the match.
Good on him.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, I just feel bad that like these guys are getting hurt for pushing themselves, but obviously they're pushing themselves to try and get better and to make wrestling better. But I don't know, like at what cost, I say,
Yeah. Well, I can't wait until we have a very easy to follow battle royal to crown the interim TNT champion.
I could see them holding it off until Scorpio Sky is okay enough. To take like getting squashed by Wardlow just to get the belt on Wardlow.
Yeah, or I mean, they are, despite what the feud with Sammy and Tay Conti would have you believe, they are supposed to be the heels. So just have Ethan Page defend it,
Yeah, Ethan Page, that's why they held off his figure at the last announcements, because they knew they were going to be doing the All Atlantic title, and they have to have the Ethan Page figure with the All Atlantic title ready to go.
Okay, that does make sense.
Yep.
All right. But that's it for me, Joe.
Yeah, that's it for me as well. So, hey, first time in a long time that we're assigning homework.
Oh, we're on summer vacation.
What?
We're on summer vacation. You don't assign homework during summer vacation?
Yes, I do.
Oh, it's like a book it type deal. I got to get the free pizzas, get my card punched.
Right. If you could find a still operating Pizza Hut, let them know that you watched Chikara's February 2013 event While the Dawn is Breaking from Easton, Pennsylvania, and they'll give you a sticker, and after you've completed 6 homework assignments, you get a free personal pan pizza.
I love it. I love this opportunity.
There's that word.
Yeah. What am I watching, Joe? What's on the card?
So this event is on independentwrestling.tv, aka Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium. And it's going to be another one where we don't have to watch the full show, but I do have an event center for you to watch with some promos, right?
All right.
You could skip Mr. Touchdown versus Saturine. You could skip Jakob Hammermeyer versus Gran Akuma. You're going to watch what?
Can I watch Jakob's intro, though?
You could watch whatever you want. I'm just letting you know what we'll be discussing on the show.
All right. I'll watch his entrance. That's all I care about.
You're going to watch Archibald Peck versus Tim Donst.
Sure am.
You're going to watch The Fist versus The Colony.
All right.
You're going to skip Kobold versus Dasher Hatfield.
All right.
I'm just telling you. You're going to watch Jigsaw the Gakido versus Team Frightening, which is Hollowicked, Frightmare, and probably Mantis.
Okay.
You're going to watch Eddie Kingston versus Kevin Steen.
Oh, I guess.
And you're going to watch the Young Bucks versus 2.0.
Twist my arm. All right.
So,
couple heavy hitters.
And again, there's the event center with some promos and stuff to kind of set stuff up for the show. But again, we're 4 months behind on this, but we're right back into things. We're on the Foley's Pod recording schedule.
In relation to the last Chikara show we watched, is this the next one? Did we skip
This is the
some?
so the show that we watched was the Saturday show, and this is the Sunday show.
Oh, okay. Picking right up where we
Yeah,
left
this is
off.
literally the next day.
Yeah. All right. Oh, this, you know what it was? I'm remembering it because the director of fun changed the Kingston versus Steen was supposed to be non-title, and he changed it to a title match because of that vicious bump he took, right?
Correct.
All right. Yeah, it's all coming to me again. All right. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's a fun show.
Yeah. All right, Joe. We have any voicemails?
We do have voicemails. Let's get right into it.
Hello, adults of wrestling. It is I, the strongest man in all the land, the home of Arthur's voicemails here at Adults of Wrestling. Anyways, I don't want to give this person any sort of attention or any traffic, so I'm not going to say this person's name, and I'm going to respectfully ask that you do the same. But this one person had said a lot of really dumb things, and I just laughed it off because I know who the real person is, and it's hilarious to me. But there was one comment in particular I wanted to address, and this is more of a general thing, too, for everyone. There's a comment about, being soft because you block someone and can't handle criticism. And this is just for everyone, because obviously lots of wrestlers block fans. And there's a reason for that. It's not because we're soft. We can't handle criticism. Of course we can handle criticism. What do you think they do at wrestling school? What do you think Dom Gurney does to me every day of my life? Criticism, constructive, whether it's harsh, fair, nice, whatever. It's how we get better. But what you fans are doing isn't criticism. No, it's insult. Insulting. Do you think I want to go on the Twitter application and see, oh, Arthur sucks, oh, I hate him, I hope he dies, or any other wrestler? Nobody wants to see that. And honestly, you thrive. You thrive on the thrill of trying to get under some wrestler's skin. So when we block you, we take that away from you. It's a win for us, a lose for you. That's really all I've got. And I hope every wrestler out there listening to this agrees with me, and you fans that are listening to this can also understand. But look, like I said, the comments I saw don't bother me. It's just a fun time. Anyways, that's all I have for this week. You guys have a blessed one.
Well, as someone that is blocked by Chris Jericho, just unjustly, might I add, I can see where Artie's coming from, but I don't know. Like, nobody ever criticizes me, Joe, so I've never had to block anybody.
So, as someone who is blocked by both Young Bucks, I can't understand where Artie is coming from in regards to this. I will say this. I love Artie. I'm going to respect his wishes. In regards to not naming this person, I'm well aware of who it is as well. And I actually took a bit of offense because this person was, and listen, I get when you come out and you say it's like, oh, so-and-so, their sharpshooter didn't look so tight, or like, so-and-so needs to tighten up on their strikes, that sort of thing. Or, somebody needs to hit the ropes a little bit better. When you make remarks like that, you're observing things, you're not being a dick, and maybe sometimes somebody will take that as an offense and whatever. But this person was just like, Artie's a bad person. Like, he wasn't like critiquing his promo ability, his in-ring ability, his appearance, any of these things. He was just like, I think Artie's a dickhead, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know who this person is, but I'm going to play along, right? And I'm going to be like, I like Artie. What's your problem with Artie? So he had no real good responses, but then he was just like randomly like tagging like Enzo Amore and Keith Lee in the responses. So I'm trying to engage with this person to develop like an actual dialogue to try to figure out what's going on, right?
Sure.
And this person was just being very evasive and very whatever. And I will tell Artie this, obviously blocking works. Typically, I save my blocks for the homophobic, racist, sexist people. I save my mutes for people like this. Now, I've had people come at me and say they don't like the way that I do commentary. And I will attempt to engage you. I will attempt to discuss this with you and see where I've made issues or what I've done to try to make myself better. But I've also had people that just come out and say, like, I think Jakarison is an F slur, right?
Mm.
So I'm not even going to engage with you. You're just going to be immediately blocked and muted. Mute first, then block. That's kind of the double whammy.
Yeah.
To really keep them off your feed. But yeah, just, that's really what you got to do. And Artie does. I love Artie. I love Dom. I love John Thorne. These are people that I consider my friends. And I do think that they might be a little bit too hard on Artie, but I don't know. Maybe Artie's doing something bad that I don't know about.
Yeah, and also in defense of Arthur, I do have to apologize. Like, every once in a while, Artie lets me just sub in for him, especially when I'm not in AIW. And I've been taking a lot of pins lately. And I do apologize. Like, when you watch AIW shows and when, they get the big wins and when bulking season is contending for the tag titles, that's Artie. But sometimes on these, like, non-AIW shows, just for kicks, he lets me go in there. And I haven't been, like, pulling my weight. So I do apologize if you're criticizing Arthur. That might be on me. My bad.
So I was going to ask you, Adam, have you seen the movie Malignant?
I have not.
Okay, I was going to make a joke in that regard, but since you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to make the joke.
All right. Fair enough. Next call. Thanks, Artie. That was a sepia button. Getting that.
Thank you. Next call.
Hey, guys. It's Dwayne in Missouri. Calling in with my weekly SmackDown time. It's not looking good. Went at 24 minutes and 8 seconds. Of course, 1 minute of that was the great Max Dupree. And then most of the rest of that was the Moss Corbin segment. I'm back on the bandwagon of thinking Moss is going to be something. I don't know why yet, but I think he's got something that they're going to figure out. I did actually go back to the beginning of the show and fast forward at my usual fast forward rate. And that took me about 7 minutes from start to finish. So really, I'm only getting about 15 minutes of viewing time. So I'm thinking about not even watching it from now on. Talk to you later. Bye.
I'll get mine out of the way right off the bat. It was the go-home show before a pay-per-view that I wasn't going to watch, so I just deleted it. Didn't even hit play.
Oh, my goodness. So again, of course, I did watch the Max Dupree segment, which was 2 minutes. And I watched the 2 Madcap Moss segments as well. That was another 6 minutes. So I had 8 minutes of SmackDown time. And listen, I cannot stress this enough. In one of my several calls to Pod Van Dam for next week, there is a YouTube channel that's called WWE American Nation. Okay? Mm-hmm. This channel came into my whatever when they posted the full dark segment from one of the, like, actual cameras of the LA Knight before he was renamed Max Dupree Maximum Male Model segment, where he brings out Mace and then him and Ray Rowe, whatever his name of the Viking Raiders, have a really lame, soft, lot of daylight connecting match, right? So I discovered the YouTube channel from there, but they just post, like, full, like, clear, high quality, like, full segments of all the WWE TV. So I think it's like some sort of, like, weird WWE stealth channel that we weren't supposed to figure out. But like, usually if you're posting, like, high quality full matches, you're going to get popped and you're going to get taken down. And this doesn't. So, like, they just have, like, full segments of Raw and SmackDown and NXT and Level Up and all that other shit just up on their channel, like, literally as soon as the show is over. So if you missed the show and you don't want to just watch the clips or, like, the 2-minute version that they put up on YouTube or on social media, WWE American Nation, go subscribe to that YouTube channel.
All right, another place where I can not watch SmackDown.
All right, those Max Dupree segments, though, I'm just telling you.
You're saying it wrong.
Oh, Max Dupree.
There we go.
He's going to debut his first Maximum Male Model this week on SmackDown. You're going to want to watch.
All right, I'll tune in.
All right. Next call.
Hello, gentlemen. Kevin here. So really, I think there's only, like, one big thing to talk about from wrestling this week. And you guys may have already talked about it, and, apologies if I'm just rehashing stuff. But I was watching live. Sorry, I was watching live. Maybe you guys were as well. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I've never seen anything like that before. I was just like in awe. You could hear the arena gasp, just staring at the chest. And just like, I think we all came out of it with a new level of respect, really. And of course I'm talking about Maurice's outfit on Monday Night Raw this week. Holy shit. Like, I knew, Maurice is beautiful and everything. Great. But she was just, she's pretty, but she didn't go to that, upper echelon of favorites or anything. But whatever she was wearing, whoever made that, whoever designed that, like, holy crap. I was even telling people, I'm like, boobs are back. I don't know where they went, late 80s, early 90s there, Baywatch and all, but like, boobs are back. But my overall point here, other than seeing the sleeves, is can either of you think of a time where someone's appearance change alone changed your thoughts of them as a wrestler? Like, one of the examples I can give is when Christian had his dramatic makeover. He cut his hair, he had a little more of a beard, changed his clothing and all. And he comes out, and everyone, I remember watching it with a group of friends, were all like, Christian looks cool right now. Like, he doesn't look like a doof. He looks super cool. And that was the start of like his first singles push there. So I'm not talking like a full-on gimmick change, like, Mean Mark to Undertaker, but just like someone just gets a haircut, shops at a different store, changes up a little bit of something like that, and all of a sudden you're like, they're super cool looking or super hot or whatever, and everything else about their gimmick has stayed the same, but they just look amazing now. All right, so that's my thought for this week. Really debating, do I want to drive out to see you guys live? Actually, you guys probably don't want me to do that. All right, I'll save the gas money and I'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye. Thanks for the call, Kevin. I'll go first just because I feel like I've said this recently on the pod, and that is that in both directions is that like Josh Bishop cut his hair, and I was like, oh, you don't do that. And on the flip side, Wes Barkley cut his hair, and I feel like it looks cooler. So like I feel like Barkley improved by having short hair, but Bishop is diminished by having short hair, if that makes sense.
So I'm trying to think of someone who had like a drastic like look change or a change in their physicality that like wasn't a gimmick change,
Yeah, because originally I was going to be like, oh, I loved like the Ministry of Darkness Undertaker.
Sure.
But then when he cut his hair and was like the biker, I was like, I don't like this. And It wasn't because I didn't like bikers. I just didn't like the losing the beard and the long hair,
Okay, so this is one that I've brought up before. I'm going to go with one that changed it for the positive and then one that changed it for the negative. Okay. Growing up, I was never a Hulk Hogan guy. I never got Hulk Hogan. And then 2002, after WCW goes under, Nash and Hall come into WWF as the NWO. He has the match with The Rock at WrestleMania. They turn him babyface. And then he comes back out as the red and yellow Hulkster with the red and yellow boas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 100% into it.
Okay. I think you were, let me say this again. I thought you were going to go in the direction of him going from not having a beard to having a black beard. I was going to be like, yeah, that is a cool change, but go ahead.
No.
That makes sense.
So I'll also say, so a negative one would be latter day WCW when Rey Mysterio wrestled for a long time unmasked and he wore like the little devil horns and he wrestled in like overalls and stuff.
Yeah, you could say any of the unmasked luchadors is a bad point.
No, Juventud is a beautiful man.
The Hoos.
Psychosis also beautiful. And on the indies, of course, whether it be Weber Hatfield or Avery Good or all these people, except for Jigsaw, when they lose their mask, it's like, oh, look how beautiful they are.
All right, I withdraw my argument then.
But hip hop, devil horns, wrestling in overalls, Rey Mysterio, even though he was more or less doing all the same stuff he did as Rey Mysterio, the look just killed his presentation.
Yeah. And how do you keep the horns on, Joe?
It was like a little strappy thing around the back of his head.
Oh, all right.
And
I thought they
it wasn't so, and so this one wasn't as much as a gimmick change. It was just more of a look change, and obviously 100% bias would be like as Raven went from ECW to WCW back to ECW and then to WWF, where he like changed his look and like got the shorter haircut and started wearing like the weird like body paint and the utilikilt and stuff like that. He was still Raven, you know? And then when he had like the white man, like blonde dreads, you know, all of those were awesome looks, classic looks that every wrestler should aspire to look like.
I think as soon as Raven stopped wearing like cut off Sandman and Daredevil t-shirts and started like going shirtless, he lost me then. I apologize for saying.
Yeah, it's the boss. He always looked good, you know? Scotty, come on.
Yeah. All right.
Next call. Last call, pink button time.
Ooh.
Hey, Joe and Adam, it's Ed. So I'm sure as you heard by now, because it's most assuredly posted, Podbean Jam from this week, I talked about Colossal Con, and Jonah, not so much. I'll say he's half of this, but everybody like no-sold me on shit. I just like a cat girl named no-sold me, and I didn't do that for me. I did that for a bit for the show. I didn't do that because it made me feel very pretty, like a pretty cat girl. I did that so we'd have something to talk about in the show, and that's solely why. And then no one did. It didn't even care. I told them about how it took hours to get ready for the rave, and then I missed it because the DJ just only did a 1 hour set, so I was only there for like 15 minutes. Nothing from them. Nothing. The only thing that anybody cared about is that there was a man that was there at Kalahari that was not with the conventions, getting very mad and calling everybody pedophiles. That's the only thing that piqued their interest. And I got salty about it, and now that I'm thinking about it, I think the problem is that I'm too fucking weird, right? So none of this even, it'd be like, if Adam was like, how's your weekend, Joe? And you were like, I bought some comic books. That's how hearing that I dress like a cat girl is to them. It's just a thing. Like, of course I did. So my question is, like, how do I open the show next week like a more normal person so I can try to, like, level things out, so then in September at Colossal Con East, when I once again dress like a cat girl for a bit for the show, not to feel super pretty and awesome, they'll react to it. Yeah, I got nothing for them, man. I don't know. I was pissed about the rave, though. That did fucking suck. Like, that took forever to get ready, and I missed it because I was like, oh, I can get some drinks before, so I went to the bar for about a half hour, and then I walk in this fucking thing, and then I'm in there like 15 minutes, and this DJ's like, all right, see you guys next year, everybody. And everybody claps. Like, that's what's supposed to happen, except me and this furry next to me. We're not happy. Me and her, we're not happy. Okay, bye.
Oh, all right. For many things, I'm going to jump in here first. Because Pat, Jonah, and Jobber aren't going to hear this. So right. I say, fuck them, Ed. Just you be you and don't change yourself for to make yourself more swallowable to them. I loved your recount of your trip to Colossal Con. I liked the fact that he totally no-sold being talked to by a furry, and it turned out it was like a really hot chick, and he was real big sad about it. I thought that was hilarious. I liked the entire story, and I think that he earned the right to be a pretty kitty.
So I guess here's my thought on this. I agree, at the very least here with Adam in regards to, you know, Ed, you just keep being Ed. You know, stop trying to like fit into whatever box that doesn't make sense that the other boys are trying to put you in. Now, that being said, I know that Ed had multiple cosplays that he did at Colossal Con this year, and I recall seeing a picture of him in his Hayabusa outfit, but I don't recall him posting pictures of himself as the cat girl. I think what he needs to do is he needs to, one, post more pictures of the cat girl, of himself as the cat girl, right? So that there's like context for it, you know?
Sure.
Like I'm looking here and I see like maybe there's one picture. Right. So Ed's like, I'm looking at this here and it's just Ed with his like ears and it just says, "This is all you get, you perverts," right? So I think you need to turn it up more and put more pictures of it online in regards to you as the cat girl, or you need to go more elaborate with your cat girl costume so that they have no choice but to question you about it.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I would rather listen to a podcast where Ed details his like trip to a furry convention over, let's say, let me just like randomly pick a sport. Like, let's say NASCAR. Let's say like there was like a host hypothetically that talked about NASCAR a lot. Like, I'd much rather listen to Ed talk about going to Kalahari than like NASCAR talk. So keep being you, Ed.
Yeah, and like all you guys just keep being you. No one's gonna pay you $5,000 to stop doing the show. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I don't know, Ed. You just gotta be you, man. That's it.
Yeah. And I heard him saying that he might not go to the AIW show next Friday. I think he should definitely go. I think he should go, and I think he's a coward. Pup Van Dam can watch himself for a couple hours.
I would say that, but isn't Pup Van Dam down a leg?
Still got 3 good ones.
All right.
Put a water and some food out there, you know, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Ed, and thanks to everyone else who called, of course. So what else do we? So that's it. Hey, plugs and stuff that I would do.
Yeah.
Hey, go check out our TeePublic store. It's hosted through the mothership, tinyurl.com/longboxheroes. All those at odd designs over in the TeePublic store are up to 40% off this weekend. And you can get those designs and a bunch of other stuff as well.
And Joe, just real quick, I am working on a new At Odds logo coming soon. Feel like the old ones have been just done to death, so I was getting sick of photoshopping them onto people, and something that's in the works. So maybe coming soon to a new TeePublic shirt.
Yo, that's on you. No one's looking for you to do that.
No,
thank you.
Yeah.
So also internetwrestling.tv, aka Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium. Use the code @odds if you're a new subscriber. If you continue your subscription, and no reason why you wouldn't, there's tons of live streams, a huge archive. We get a little bit of kickback from what your monthly subscription to them is. You could also help us out by making any and all of your purchases through our Amazon affiliate link. It's in the show notes to every single one of these episodes. Does not cost you anything extra. Amazon, call it an advertising fee. I call it the thing that makes Adam happy at the end of the month when he gets his cut of the fucking money.
Yeah.
Notable purchases through the Amazon click-through this past week include somebody purchased the rock version of the movie Black Adam Funko Pop. I guess it glows or something.
Glow in the dark, probably.
Sure.
All right, nice.
Thank you very much for purchasing that. I guess it's an Amazon exclusive. A lot of people were hyped up seeing the Black Adam trailer that came out this week.
Yeah, I didn't see the trailer, but I'll definitely see the movie. Maybe not in theaters, but
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, cool. Is that it for the Amazon stuff?
That's it.
Some people need to make sure that when they're buying stuff from the Amazon link and on their phone, sometimes maybe it doesn't track. Make sure they buy stuff from the desktop. That's my lesson learned this week.
I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, other people who should learn their lesson are these podcasts, Joe. And those podcasts include Longbox Heroes, Longbox Heroes After Dark, We Need Wrestling, Hit My Music, Final Wrestling Place, Porch Talk, Viewer's Choice, WWE War, Wrestling Cheers, IWTV Guide, Pod Van Dam, Hellions Talks, which I'm probably going to bump because they need to put out a podcast, Wings on Wings, Between the Sheets, and kind of a new plug. I'm going to throw this in there. I've been listening to a lot of lately. If You Catch My Grifts, I've been catching up on some old episodes that I missed, so I want to make sure that I give them a shout out. But shows I will not give a shout out to, Joe, is the A Show. They're in the middle of their Tournament of Champions, I guess. And did you hear this? They're retiring the Tournament of Champions concept, the concept that I invented, by the way, and won twice. But this is going to be the last time they do a tournament. And when they come back next year to, I'm sure, lots of fanfare, they won't be doing a tournament thing. They're just going to do a series of exhibitions. But once again, another reason to drop the A Show from our plugs. That's it.
I'm glad you handle the podcast plugs.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All
right.
So now I guess it's time for Adam's favorite part of the show.
Yep. Some might cost a little. Some might cost a lot. But I'm the $100 Vansky. And your figures will be bought. All right, Joe, how are we going to handle this? Are we going to go purchase for purchase? You know, I do one, you do one, back and forth, or?
I got nothing this week other than a follow-up from that guy that I bought the Micro Brawler Fig Defenders from.
Okay.
He messaged me on Tuesday and said, "Oh, I forgot to send them out. Give me your address again."
Okay.
And that was it.
Did you get tracking from him?
No, he hasn't contacted me with anything yet. Again, it's only $16. It is what it is. If I lost $16 on this and it gets to like 2 months that I haven't gotten them, I might make my first post in the group in a long time.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of buying things from the group, this is just a follow-up for me. I'm sure you saw it because you were kind enough to retweet it. But as a follow-up to last week, I did get my Brody Lee chase that I bought friends and family in the group. The guy shipped it right away, shipped it nice and safely, and it's in my hands in a Fig Defender in my toy room. I'm waiting to do a Detolf expansion before I put it in Detolf, but I got it.
No updates on any Detolfs out in the wild?
You know what? Brett and I were talking on weekly purchases about making a trip to IKEA, and maybe I'm going to coordinate with him about, doing a run because he wants to get some as well. But I haven't looked into it, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
But things I have looked into, Joe, I know this is going to be a surprise, but I have a lot of purchases this week. Just yesterday, I tweeted out, and you said you were going to give me a heads up. But there was a bunch of Mattel, I don't know, Hasbro, whoever does G.I. Joe and Transformers. Hasbro, a bunch of Hasbro reveals. Nothing that I was interested in for G.I. Joe, but there were Super 7 Ultimates announced. And you know my rules, Joe. I have to buy the Soundwave. So I did a pre-order of the Super 7 Soundwave, and I also did a pre-order of the Fallen Leader Optimus Prime, which is a good way of saying Dead Optimus. So I placed an order on Entertainment Earth for both of those. And I had passed on the first assortment of Super 7s of Transformers because it was like Optimus and regular Optimus and Megatron and Grimlock and a random Insecticon. And I was like, I don't need any of those. But these two were just like, I need them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, those are definitely two good ones. Now, I'll say, so there was a couple things I was kicking the tires on this week.
Okay.
And I'll just throw this here since it's related. With the Hasbro stuff, they put out the next line of the Marvel Legend Classics.
Yep.
And I forget who's in, like, who the group is, but there's a Firestar in there, right?
Yeah, I saw that. And
somebody's like, "Oh, you're going to get the Firestar." And I'm like, do I need the Firestar? No. I go, but do they have an Iceman? And they do. There was an Iceman from a previous set, and I can convince myself to get the Firestar and the Iceman and, like, include them as, like, Spider-Man and his amazing friends sort of thing.
Sure, that makes sense.
But again, I'm kicking the tires on it. I haven't made the decision. None of the Marvel Legends ones really are super like rare or expensive. So I feel as though like I looked up the prices on the Iceman, and the Iceman's like $10 to $13 at the most, right?
Yeah. They mass produce most of those. There's no exclusives or limited numbers.
Right. So I don't definitely need them. I want to stick with because there was what people because there's an original suit Spidey, like how he looked in Amazing Fantasy 15, right?
Yeah, I tweeted at you or DM'd you on that one.
Oh yeah, you DM me, Todd tweeted me, and this like a bunch of other people are like, "Oh, you're gonna get this one." I'm like, "No, because I'm gonna just have one regular suit Spidey, and that's all I need." I don't need every Spidey ever.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
All right. I also pre-ordered this week. The pre-orders went up very briefly on Amazon for the Fan Takeover Ultimate Edition HBK, which is another Amazon exclusive.
Sure.
So I am sure I will get that a year or so from now. I'm still waiting on my Hulk Hogan one, the Amazon exclusive that I pre-ordered 6 months ago that most people have had for 5 months, but I pre-ordered 2 of those. Number one, so I can cherry pick which one is in the better condition. And since the pre-orders closed and they're now hard to get, the other one is going to be a coupon in the major group or something like that. Other thing I pre-ordered on Amazon, speaking of Funko Pops, but there was an Amazon exclusive new Finn Balor pop. And this is just like his other pops, only he's wearing a leather jacket in this one. And I'll have to see about the size of the dong on the pop. Not sure about that. It was hard to make out in the picture. But that was the other Amazon purchase I made this week.
Now, I'm not sure where this came in because I saw the new pops that they put out, and there's a new Dusty.
Yeah, that's a basic, like available anywhere. You'll be able to walk into a Walmart or whatever. Maybe Comics on the Green will have it.
So I'll say, if I see that Dusty out and about, I will absolutely grab it.
Okay.
But I don't need it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think you will see it at Walmart because it'll be like a $9 pop. It'll be a
comic. Because does it depict Polka Dot Dusty? Yes. Is it accurate? Yes. Is it the polka dots is it the polka dot scheme that he wore all the time or primarily? No. Because he primarily wore black with the yellow polka dots. This top is yellow with black polka dots, which he did wear, but it wasn't the primary outfit.
Yeah.
If they had it with maybe like the headband that he wore, like if he was wearing the headband, or if he had the boss man's hat and nightstick with it, I could maybe make the thing is like, okay, this is very specifically this very specific moment in Dusty's polka dot run. But because there's not those additional accessories, I don't need it.
Yeah. All right. But if you see it, you'll buy it.
If I see it out and about, I'll absolutely grab it. But it's not like I need to pre-order this to make sure that I have it.
No. Like, it's not necessary. All the common WWE ones are they're a dime a dozen. They're everywhere.
Right. Well, and he is a common man, working hard with his hands. So I completely understand.
There, set you up for that. All right. As I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like I'm kind of out of podcasts in my queue just because I'm not working. I'm on the Summer of Adam, so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts around the house. So when I'm like working out now, I've been watching a lot of. I have like 5 months of major pod vlogs to catch up on.
Oh boy, I'm sorry for all the spoilers then.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But like one of them I was watching, and I think that they uploaded this maybe like 2 months ago. Broski was at a toy store, which was called Pandora's Box. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Sure.
But he was going on and on and on about how great this toy store was. And like the camera panned by like this wall that had a list of all the people that were doing signings at the store. And I said to myself, I was like, man, why aren't like toy stores like this around here? We have that new one. That just opened in our area that I might have heat with already, but
oh boy, let's talk about that off air.
Yeah. But like I'm like, why aren't toy stores like this Pandora's Box? Why aren't they ever around here? And just on a whim, I Googled it, and they're only like an hour and 10 minutes from here. So I was like, well, that's nothing. You know, like I do more of a loop just going to like Clark Summit and Wilkes-Barre and Pittston and all that stuff. I was like, it's nothing to do like an hour one way and an hour back. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to Pandora's Box tomorrow. I Googled the address. It was like, no problem. I'm waking up first thing in the morning. I'm going to be there when they open at 11. So I drive to New Jersey, Joe, which was my first mistake. And I get there. It's like maybe 5 minutes to 11. Sitting there, ripping a heater, waiting for them to open. They don't open, Joe. So I walk up to the door and I look at the hours. Closed on Tuesdays. And it's the only day that they're closed. So I'm like, those sons of bitches, why didn't they say this on the internet? So I look up their website. Yeah, it says it on the internet. It says it on Google Maps. It says it on Facebook. This is all my mistake. So I drove home just all pissed off and motherfucker myself for not checking, any of the internet stuff. And I think to myself, well, you're not going to go again tomorrow. You just wasted a ton of gas going. You're not going to make this trip again in 2 days, like twice in 2 days. So the next day, Joe, I drove back to New Jersey. And I went to Pandora's Box and I looked around, and it's a pretty sweet store. I'd say maybe twice the size of our local toy store. I don't know if you've been there yet, but anybody who's listening that has would know what I'm talking about. Lots of like older stuff, a lot of Lucy's, a lot of like video game consoles, like old consoles and old games and stuff like that, if you're into that. So I walked around. I obviously went right to the wrestling section, and not nearly as big of a wrestling section as like, obviously if you went to like Wrestling Universe, a store that specializes in it, but way more wrestling figures than I've seen since I've been to New York, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I immediately saw something that I'm going to text you in a second, but it's something that I had seen on the internet before and I kind of wanted it, but they're hard to find in good condition. And this one was super, super mint, and I just sent it to you. And it is a WWE 2-pack of Dean Ambrose and Brian Pillman.
Oh, okay. I remember that one.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where it's like, I see these every once in a while in the major group, and they're always kind of like beat the heck because it's hard to keep a basic with the cardboard backer in nice shape. But This one was like pristine, like right out of a pack, like a case. And it was like reasonably priced too. It was like $30. So it's not bad. You know, I think these things were like 20 brand new. So I'll pay that all day. So I was happy to grab that. And I started walking around. And there's some other stuff that I was like, ooh, I want that. I want that. I want that. But I'm like, all right, I got to save my money. You know, we're going to Ohio in a month. You know, I'm currently unemployed, even though I'm, grifting the system. But other than that, I was like, I can't go spending money on stupid things. But then I see something in the display case, Joe. And as you being somebody in the Major Pod Facebook group and somebody that listens to the podcast, do you know what else is special or synonymous with Pandora's Box?
I do not.
They were the exclusive retailer / provider of the Danhausen Major Bendy variant.
Oh, no. Oh, that's right. Okay.
Which was the 1 in 275, kind of like black and white or dark skin.
Yeah. It has like it's not flesh colored.
It's like gray or something.
Yeah.
So there was one of them sitting in the case, and I asked him about it, and I don't know if he was kayfabing me, but he said it was the last one, because I was under the impression from seeing in the group that they were sold out of them because they're currently selling for like $300 on eBay.
I remember you might have mentioned a week or two ago, I guess, where you were like, I might get it, and then you saw how much it was, and you're like, nope, I'm not getting it.
Yeah. Because like after shipping and everything like that, it would have been over $100. But then, like I said, I was under the impression that they dried up because they are selling for a lot, like $300 on eBay. And I asked how much it was. It wasn't like, it was still at retail and I didn't have to worry about shipping. And I was being carnied and told it was the last one, or, might have been the last one, whatever. And so I bought it. And I don't know if I want to keep it or if I want to just sit on it for a little bit, like I'm doing with my spare major moments. But I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where I saw what they're going for, and I was like, if I can triple or quadruple my money on this, I'm in for it, you know?
So if you don't mind me asking, retails on that 30, 50?
More expensive than that.
Okay.
It's not Ric Flair signed Bendham pricing, but I said before there was 120 shipped for if you ordered it like off their website, and it wasn't quite that expensive.
So I say sit on it.
Yeah, it was $100, Joe.
Okay, I say sit on it. I don't see that going down, and like you're not going to sell that for less than $100.
Yeah. And people keep asking in the group if anybody has one for sale, and surprisingly, nobody's like moving it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I figured. I figured it's an investment thing. I think Danhausen is just starting his rise to popularity on national TV, you know? So anybody who has all those micro brawlers and stuff like that, those are all moving, and they're way more than 275 of those, you know?
Right. There's the variant. I don't know what your, Summer of Adam's schedule is, but it's not like Danhausen doesn't do conventions and signings.
Yeah.
But I think if you go and you get that signed by Danhausen, whether it be a nice piece for your collection or the signature adds whatever onto whatever you're going to sell it for.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think when I bought it, I wasn't like, ooh, I'm a huge Danhausen fan, even though I do like Danhausen, but I definitely bought it as an investment, whether it flip soon or flip down the road.
Right. Is that where you were when you messaged me that they had the Brian Bendy?
Yeah, I was looking because they had Brian Swoggle and Smart Mark. They were sold out of broskies because I am on the hunt for a broski just so I can take the packaging. I've been trying to buy just the packaging so I can take the mail away and put it mint on card. But yeah, they had Brian's for $30, and I was like, I know you didn't want the full set, but I was like, maybe you want to add just him to your collection, but I failed.
Right.
But one last thing about Pandora's Box, I grabbed, because this whole thing started with me watching a vlog of Broski doing a signing there. I grabbed their schedule for upcoming meet and greets, and I'm really upset that I missed Jose Canseco on June 5th. Because I did meet Canseco at a Rail Riders game, and he didn't even look up at me when he was signing my picture. So I'm sure if I gave him a second chance, he'd be a lot nicer to the person who looked up to him as a kid. But June 25th, Wardlow. July 9th, Kurt Angle. July 17th, I might actually do this, Joe, Major Pod live podcast recording. And it's only an hour away, so I might do that.
What day is that?
That is Sunday, July 17th from 1 to 4. So we'll talk off air about that, maybe.
I was going to say, we'll talk, pal.
And the other thing, the reason why I'll mention this on the air is this, maybe not for me, all kidding aside, I don't know if I'd spend the money that's necessary to attend this meet and greet, but maybe for some of our listeners, on August 7th, Sunday, August 7th, Bret the Hitman Hart will be there.
Oh, so Mr. Hitman.
Yep. If you're from the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area, that's only about an hour away. That might be worth it for some of those super fans. Maybe if you were recently met, what am I trying to say? Big sexy. Holy shit, I'm drawing a blank.
Kevin Nash?
I was like, Kevin Hall?
Oh my God.
Fucking drained. All right, maybe if you had just met Kevin Nash, the next person on your bucket list is Bret Hart. So, but yeah, that's it. And so now that I know this place is there, I'm not going to say I'm going to go there weekly or anything like that, but maybe once a month when I have some money, I'm going to make a trip out there. It's a nice store.
Until you have heat with them as well.
Until I have heat with them as well. As I burn bridges with every toy store that I know about.
There's someone that I know that I'm friends with who laments that a lot of other people have wronged him and crossed him, and they're all assholes for doing this to him. And what is the more likely story? That these 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 people who have nothing to do with each other other than they're friends with this guy all conspired to do the same exact asshole thing to him? Or is he the asshole?
I think it was a big conspiracy.
That's what you get for listening to Pardon My Grift so much. Or what's this show? If you catch my grift?
If you catch my grift.
I was just watching The Simpsons with Pardon My Zinger. No, it's If You Catch My Grift. Yeah, so, yeah, maybe it's you, Adam.
Yeah, it might be. I have one other purchase, Joe.
All right. And again, I thought you said you're drained. And I'm like, oh boy, we got one more.
Yeah. All right. This is something that has been on my eBay watch list for at least 2 years. And every once in a while, one of these figures pops up, and they are either beat to shit and expensive, or in nice shape and super expensive. And basically what I'm talking about, and what I purchased this week, is I'm going to send it over to you, is a Jax, WWE Jax Deluxe Aggression 17 Zack Ryder figure.
Ooh, okay.
Which is his first solo figure. I had talked maybe a couple months ago about buying the 3-pack of like the Treacherous Trios Edge and the Edgeheads, which was his first figure ever. This is his first solo figure.
Baby broski here. Look at this.
Yeah, and to kind of give you some context on this, Joe, if you were to do a Google search on this figure, or not a Google search, an eBay search, there's a couple up there right now between $125 to $150 plus like $20 shipping, and they are in terrible shape. And that's what I keep seeing popping up, that and Lucy's, in my save search. So I get a notification that this is available, and it says $80, free shipping, or best offer.
Oh, I know what you got to do.
Yeah, so like I'm like, holy shit, $80 is a really, really good price for this figure. Which it is. Because again, in comparison, like 120, 150 is what they are listed for. And they never ever come up for like an auction where you can just let the market decide. So again, it's priced at 80. So I'm like, I gotta send a best offer just to kind of start the negotiation. So I send a best offer of $50. Free shipping, $50. Don't get a response. I'm getting real nervous because I'm looking at the listing. The listing just went up, and now there's like 3 people watching it. And now there's like 5 people watching it. And this is over the course of like an hour or two. And I think to myself, there's got to be other people out there that realize that this is a really good price even at $80. So I started getting nervous. I was like, should I just click buy it now, $80? And then I get a notification. The seller has offered you a counter offer. I'm like, all right, it's going to be somewhere in the middle of 50 or 80, or probably closer to 80. Joe, you want to know what the offer he sent me was?
75.
$55.
55.
I clicked accept on that offer before the sound of my like ringtone going off had dissipated from the air. Like I was like, yes, please. Because in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, it's going to cost $10 to ship it. So really, I paid $45 plus shipping. I got a steal. But I mean, $55 plus tax shipped for that figure is just insane. It's insane. I can turn around and sell it for at least double in a second, but I'm not going to because obviously this is something I've wanted for a while. And I do want the Hawkins one as well. There is one mint Hawkins being sold out of the UK that I can get with shipping for around $200. But I will wait until, might take another year or two to find the Hawkins. But I was able to check that off the list, and I'm very happy, and I feel like I got it for a criminally cheap price.
Yeah, definitely. And again, even if you're just looking at like that 80 to 90 price that you see out there and in the condition that it is, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, $55, not a bad deal.
Yeah. So that is my last purchase. That's my main event. I was very happy to find that. And that is Detolf worthy. So I need more Detolfs.
Yes.
But that's all for me, Joe. That was just a light week of weekly purchases.
Yeah. I do remember one last thing. I almost had a purchase this week in the long sleeve LVAC Doink the Clown shirt.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had money in hand. I was ready to purchase it, but I was told that I got the Good Brother discount on it. So technically not a purchase.
Okay. I just, if we're talking t-shirts, I did follow through and I got the very first off the assembly line serial numbered 0001 Sydney Bacabella shirt at LVAC this weekend.
Yes.
And I somehow got conned into buying a new Dan Champion shirt that's too small for me. But I'll have to hit the gym and get into that soon. But I bought a shirt off of Big Dan.
Even more purchases, I tell you.
But no. I had said to myself, if Dan Champion yells Big Dan at least 20 times over the course of a match, I'd have to buy a shirt, and he probably hit 30. So
I was going to say, how many shirts did you buy? 2, 3, 4? We're going by 20s.
Yeah. No. But yeah, that's it for me.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for the show here as well. Thanks everyone for listening. This was episode 193 of At Odds with Wrestling. For Adam, this is Joe saying, be safe out there and enjoy some wrestling.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.